Hi everyone, welcome to our weekly Q&A session. And today it's my pleasure to welcome here our coach Brittany. So hi Brittany, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for having me.
Okay, of course, anytime. Have you started to set up any Christmas decorations?
Yeah, I did this last week, slowly but surely. Yeah, we still got lights to put up, but yeah, it's kind of fun to do. Makes it a fun thing for my kids too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's especially for the kids. It's such a magical time. They
Mhm.
all these since 2 months. They keep asking me, "Mom, when it's coming Christmas? When it's Christmas?" And they're really looking forward to the presents, to all the lights, and yeah, it has its magic. And I'm really looking forward to this part of the year.
Yeah, I know it's so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So cool. Let's start with our first question, and we have a question from C12, and this is hello. I get fixated on checking when am I going to fall asleep, and I end up not sleeping sometimes. How can I work on refocusing my mind and not being vigilant about sleep? So, what are your thoughts, Brittany, when you read something like this?
Yeah, there's a lot of monitoring going on,
Mhm.
and I remember going through this as well, where you just constantly monitoring if you're asleep, trying to
Yeah.
figure out, oh, am I sleepy yet? And like your brain's really hyper focused on it, and but being that fixated on it actually can kind of backfire because it creates more of that hyper arousal, and,
Mhm.
and it makes us feel even more awake. So I think just trying to not like really force yourself to like not think of anything, but you do want to try to just like um, allow the thoughts to come, but try not to put so much pressure on yourself to be falling asleep, because I think that's that pressure to be asleep that actually creates more of a struggle. So if we can just allow ourselves to be in the moment, notice the thoughts that we're having without any judgment, it can be really helpful to, just feel like we have that less pressure and there's a little bit more ease throughout the night.
Mhm. Absolutely. It's a really great point about the thoughts. And when we really talk about being fixated on sleep, this is we of course we have to understand that our brain is doing it just to keep us safe, right? And this is really hard for us to understand. Like our brain is trying to help us. And when we are trying hard to avoid it, when we are trying hard to suppress it, when we are literally, like Daniel is calling it, like we are not hearing the signal. In this way, our brain, in this way, we are really kind of like avoiding it, really not trying to. um we are not really hearing it, as I'm get lost in my thoughts. But the point is that we need to receive the signal, just like the thoughts, just listening to the thoughts, but also at the same time letting them go, not really giving them too much meaning. It is so helpful, and we also call it like the hyper awareness. And when we are hyper aware about the state of falling asleep, it is very common. And um, it's very similar to hypnic jerks. And when these hypnic jerks happen, we are not very comfortable about them, of course, because we feel like this is like an obstacle for us to sleep. But when we have this, but when we just welcome it, when we allow it to happen, when we literally reframe this experience, we reframe our mindset around it. This is when we send messages of safety to our brain. Hey, whatever you throw at me, whatever is happening right now is safe. And when our brain feels safe, then it's easier for us to fall asleep. So this is something little I wanted to add. And let's see, we have a few questions already coming in. And right, we have a question from PG Pair. When does it become easier not believing fearful thoughts about insomnia impacting your health? My brain says maybe you are the 1% it will affect, and then the fear comes up. So, what do you think, Brittany?
Yeah, I think it's very common to feel like we need to sleep in order to have good health. We see it everywhere in the media. Everywhere you go, people are saying you need to sleep if you want to, perform well, if you want to have good health metrics and all this stuff. Um, but I think, well, first off, we want to kind of break that connection between sleep and health because there's not really any proven studies that show like, oh, I'm gonna have horrible health and I'm gonna have all these conditions if I don't sleep. That's all, it's all a myth. So if you can first understand that, that can be really helpful. Yeah, so like just knowing that, that there's no really like true hard connection between how you sleep and like how your health will be. And then as far as like holding on to like that fear of like you being that one person that it will affect, I think if you can kind of normalize that, that's very normal to have that fear, very common. Most of us, like when we were going through it, we also felt that. Like I remember feeling, the fact that I wasn't sleeping much at all. Like I thought all these things were going to happen to me, and that I would never go back to how I was. I was going to be, stuck with all the, symptoms and sensations that were happening because of the fear. I thought it was going to continue on and just lead to all these health conditions. But it's just a story that our brain tells us. It's not, doesn't mean it's true. We can listen to the story and know that that's something that our brain likes to to tell us to keep us safe, but it doesn't mean it's true. And we can just try to kind of counter it with you know some other thoughts that might be a little more helpful and little
Mm-hmm.
might help us feel a little bit more at ease about how our body is going to react to like the struggle that we're going through. And I think that was helpful for me just to tell myself some different stories because my brain, like most people with insomnia, love to catastrophize, and which is very normal. But we kind of have to pull it in and be like, okay, brain, I hear you. That's a interesting story you have, but what this is actually what is more likely. Like more likely, it's never going to be what we think it's going to be. And so usually, and well, pretty much always, it's always a much easier path. And so when it comes to the health scares and the fear around how our health is going to be, um, we can just listen into that and then kind of counter it with like, okay, I hear you that I'm gonna you think brain that I'm gonna have some health issues, but then you can kind of like, well, actually, I've gone through this so far, and I'm actually doing pretty well. Like, and I am safe. So
Mm-hmm.
far, my body is safe, and I am, all this. Yeah. So, anyways, that's pretty much the gist of my side of it. What do you think, Veronica?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And we also need to understand here that our brains are very, very pessimistic. And it's only because it wants us to be safe, right? It will show you the worst possible scenario, like you are the 1%, but it doesn't show you, but what if you are the 99% that is safe, right? So, really understanding the nature of our brain is incredibly helpful on our path. It gives us the chance to be kind to ourselves, especially when we understand what and why is happening. So, I don't have much to add. Brittany, it was a great answer. And right, we get a thank you note from Peach Bear. Thank you guys. You're very welcome. And right, we have now a question from Jennifer Santana. Hi, Jennifer. It's really nice to see you here again. I'm almost 2 years into my journey. Do you ladies still think about sleep daily? I have some aspects of OCD and I'm still thinking about it often. So, what about you, Brittany? Do you think of sleep every day?
No, I think that's something that is very normal worry to have, and when you're in it, it is something that your brain's constantly shouting at you, like all these thoughts about sleep. But yeah, so now I don't really think about sleep outside of like, what I was like before insomnia, which was, okay, I need to go to bed this time because I have to be up the next day. But like it's a very normal thought pattern now, as opposed to like the constant, you know, the constant thoughts I used to have like throughout the day, and a lot of it was a lot of fear. But now I don't have that fear, and I think that's the difference. Is sure, I think about sleep occasionally. Like I still have a toddler that wakes up, almost probably 50% of the time in the middle of the night, and so that makes me think about sleep. But I don't have that fear anymore, and without that fear, the thoughts just aren't as strong, I guess, and
Mhm.
it makes it so much more like of just a neutral thing. Like sleep is just something that I do, and sometimes I don't sleep as well as I want, but that's okay. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it goes the same. I don't think about sleep anymore in terms of like any worry thoughts or about fear, about being afraid of not sleeping. But sleep takes up like one third of our life, so it's very normal to have thoughts about sleep. It's like when something in our everyday routine has changed, like when we have a stressful day, when we are traveling or when we are sick. It's very normal to want or to prefer this like this rest, because sometimes when we are so exhausted, when we are so tired, we just really want this unconsciousness that sleep is bringing us. So it's very normal to have this preference and thoughts related to sleep, but. When you normalize this, that it's okay to have these thoughts. Then again, we often like talk, I repeat myself, it's about being kind to ourselves. Like, yes, I have these thoughts and it's okay. I have been through terrible insomnia. I struggled a lot, so it may take some time until these thoughts like really evaporate. So, really, Jennifer, be kind to yourself. You have gone a really long and challenging journey, and you are still doing great. So, thanks for the question, Jennifer. And we have a question from Chloe. So, hello, coaches. Tonight I'm going to the hospital maternity section. I'm going to give birth with all the happiness for my new baby birth. My old insomnia wound is still there. The memory of insomnia is not erased. Tonight, all the fearful thoughts are emerging. What if I am not be able to be present with my growing baby emotionally? What if I will be a forever tired mom? What if this will be my forever identity in front of my child? All those thoughts are only thoughts. They are making me sad and fearful in front this upcoming stage of my life. So, Mama Sleep Coach Brittany, what are your thoughts?
Well, that's first off, that's super exciting tonight. Again, wow, that's super
Oh,
exciting.
yeah.
So that's that part. Like, wow. But I think yeah, having all that fear, like it's very normal, and it's if you've been through insomnia, like there's always going to be that what if, like what if this comes back, and what if I um, can't, I have to go through the whole struggle again, and on top of that, having a baby, that can definitely create a lot more fear and pressure. But I think if you, as Veronica was saying earlier, you just give yourself a lot of self kindness and compassion through this. So many other moms have been through it and have made it through the other side. And just knowing that it's a very like normal thing to have fear of not sleeping, but also being able to just embrace this time period, because it's a short time period, and knowing that the sleep disruptions are very normal, but your body will still be okay, your mind will still be okay, you'll be able to get through it, and that it won't make you, a bad mother, and you're still able to be present even when you have trouble with sleeping. um, and yeah, and I think just listening into those years, trying to just listen to those messages and fully, let your body, know that it's been heard, and that can be helpful too as you're, going into like the birth and like having a lot of things come up. And yeah, just having that support can be helpful as well. Just knowing that, yeah, sure, you're gonna go through a lot of stress in the next few months, but there's also going to be a lot of good that comes out of it. And our brain doesn't always remember that. Like, it likes to think of like as Veronica was saying, it likes to be very negative, but
Yeah.
there can be so much, good stuff that happens after you have a baby. And just remembering that as well can be super helpful, just to help you know that, like, it's not all about sleep. There's so many other things that you can also like try to focus on as well.
Absolutely. I really like what you said. Like, there are many things going to happen after that. And I just want to normalize, Chloe, how normal it is to have these worries and questions. Am I going to be a good mom? Am I going to be present for my baby? Will I cope with my new role? And everybody has these questions. Everybody, regardless of insomnia. Maybe when we have this insomnia, it makes us for us more challenging. We bring more fear into it, but no, it's all about the perspective, how we look at it, how we perceive it, and how much um, we how much fear we bring into all these questions. So it's again absolutely very normal to experience to have these questions, and just like Brittany said, it's just observe them, allow them to be, and you don't have to um, really like buy into them. Rather, despite there will be challenging times, despite there will be, of course, many sleepless nights, but still there will come out many good things, and it will become a really nice balance, right? As opposed to everything will be bad, 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 bad. Don't worry, Chloe. There will be also many, many good moments that will give you the power to move on and go on with your new role. So, Chloe, thank you very much for posting this question, and I wish you good luck and fingers crossed. And yeah, have a happy life with your baby. Okay, we have now a question in German. I will answer this one. Hallo, ich denke den ganzen Tag lang über das Schlafen nach, die komplette Zeit. Wie kann ich das loswerden? So Annie is basically asking that she's thinking about sleep all day long, the whole time, and how can she let go of this? So Annie, basically, we are talking about sleep the whole Q&A today, and it's about allowing these thoughts. It's about understanding that these thoughts are signals from our brain that that there is a threat. There is something you need to watch out for, and the first thing to is to allow these thoughts. It's absolutely okay to experience these thoughts. There is nothing wrong with them, but the problem with the thoughts is not that we have them, rather that we believe them. And when you believe these thoughts, this is what brings us the emotional turmoil, the emotional struggle, right? So when you only allow these thoughts, for example, every day you can write down your fearful thoughts, and when you write them down, just it feels like you're bringing them from your mind to a paper. After writing them down, we so often feel much lighter. We feel much better. But when you just write them down, you see the emotion they are bringing to you. If it is fear, just process this fear, allow this fear to happen. You can place your hand on your heart and stay with this fear. Your brain is sending you this emotion because it wants to know that you are safe. You will be fine, Annie, right? And your brain just needs this reassurance. So anytime you feel this fear, you just state, "Hello, fear. You are welcome to stay as long as you need." And with this, you are accepting, you are allowing, and your brain gets the message. This emotion is safe. And when you get uh, these thoughts basically, they are also the messages, and they are safe, right? These thoughts and these emotions, they don't want to hurt you, Annie. They just want you to inform you and take it as an information. And then this is how you let go. Facing, allowing, and letting go. I hope this was helpful, Annie, and thank you for your question. And now we can answer this last question from Purple Canvas. Hi, I am a student. Is it okay to sleep in an hour and a half past your wake time during holidays? I usually wake later if I ever sleep. So, what are your thoughts, Brittany? Should he stick to any sleep window or not?
I think I'm going to go off my own experience. So for me, sleeping in was actually not a problem because I didn't associate it with like this fear of like how the night would go. Like the one I would sleep in, this was like kind of later on in my recovery. I was because I felt comfortable and I felt like, oh, that it would be nice to stay in my bed for a little bit longer. And it was, it was just nice to be in bed and sleep a little longer. And I think if that's the way your perspective coming at it, that it's totally fine. Like if there's not that fear behind it, if there's this fear of I need to sleep in, or otherwise my day's not going to go well because I didn't sleep enough, then that's a little tricky because then you're like, okay, I'm kind of like giving into this fear, and that's the reason I'm trying to sleep in. But if the reason you're wanting to sleep in is just because, like, it feels like it would be just nice to sleep a little longer because I feel so cozy and I feel like I could sleep a little bit more, then totally fine. And especially if it's only half an hour to an hour, I don't think that's a big deal at all. Like maybe if it was 5 hours of sleeping, that might affect your sleep schedule a little bit more. But yeah, and then on the holidays, I feel like it's totally fine to give yourself a little wiggle room, enjoy your time, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And maybe just one thing that comes to my mind that I would just add is sometimes people, I don't know, maybe it's not your case, but Purple Canvas, but I just want to put it out there. Sometimes people, when they sleep in for quite long time, they expect to fall asleep in the evening at the same time, and this can become a little bit difficult because if they go to bed at the same time, then and they don't fall asleep, they start to worry, they start to again this fear cycle. But when you realize, like, hey, maybe I don't have enough sleep drive right now, so I can still befriend wakefulness in, I don't know, more active way. I can still go and watch some TV, or I can read some book or whatever, and uh, this will help you to ease the pressure from you, right? So absolutely, I totally agree with Brittany. Enjoy your holiday, sleep in if you feel like it. If it feels like you are enjoying yourself, this is totally great. If it feels like you have to chase as much sleep as possible, then it's a little bit tricky. So enjoy your holidays, Purple Canvas. So, and now we have come to an end of our Q&A today. A couple of thank yous from Chloe and from our friend Christian. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for watching and for being here. Thank you, Brittany, for coming. And I wish you, Brittany, if I don't see you, don't talk to you, very happy Christmas and also a happy New Year. So, and to everybody, I'll be back next week. Thank you. Bye.